You're listening to Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News, a podcast exclusively for the dairy industry.
One of our sponsors of the Dairy Voice podcast is National DHIA. NDHIA ensures information accuracy and represents their members' interests. They are the direct voice for the dairy information industry. To find out more, go to dhia.org.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you are in your day, welcome to the Dairy Voice podcast by Dairy Business News. I'm your host, Connie Kuber, with Sealpro Silage Barrier Films by Connor Agriscience. Thanks for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. Before we get started, I always keep in mind that we have listeners who are not part of the dairy industry, and we appreciate you learning about the great lengths that the dairy industry goes to educate and share information that benefits not only the cattle that we manage, but the people who consume our products. Our conversation today revolves around promotion, reaching the consumers that dairy farmers and the industry feeds. My guest is Jenn Grubb, who is the Senior Marketing Manager at MilkPEP. MilkPEP has a few new programs rolling out, and it's important that we know about them and what customers are being targeted, how MilkPEP is engaging with them, what their plan of action is, and how the results from these kinds of programs are going to be measured. So welcome to the Dairy Voice podcast, Jenn. And before we get started, please tell us about yourself and how you got to this place in your career.
Hi, Connie. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today. I've been with MilkPEP for a little over 7 years at this point, going on 8. I came here right out of college. I grew up in Ohio, so very familiar with the farming community, grew up next to some farmland, and just wanted to get myself in the door in marketing. And I thought that MilkPEP was a really interesting place because I grew up with those Milk Mustache campaign posters in my school cafeteria, and
Sure.
who wouldn't want to work on a campaign that they grew up looking at every day? I thought it would be a fun job, and it turned out to be really incredible. And here I am almost 8 years later, still working with the same team.
Hey there, after you've finished enjoying this podcast, might I recommend you join me, Tim Hammerich, and our guests on Clarity at Work from Zoetis. We'll be talking genetics and their place on the dairy. You've got a seat at the table as we discuss innovations, what's next for the industry, and more.
I have to find the value in everything that I do, and I still find value in Clarified Plus, so we're going to continue to use it.
Just search for Clarity at Work wherever you listen to podcasts. Once you finish with this podcast, of course.
Let's just jump right in. You know, in the dairy industry, we have all these different associations and promotion boards and all that kind of thing, and lots of acronyms that fly around. So can you please tell us what MilkPEP is and what are its goals?
So MilkPEP stands for the Milk Processor Education Program, and we're a national marketing and advertising organization. We're funded by the U.S. milk companies, the milk processors. So our goals are to increase the perception of dairy milk and hopefully lead to an increase in consumption and an increase in sales. And we don't represent any particular milk brand. All of our efforts are brand agnostic, and we market the general product of dairy milk and kind of operate on the idea of rising tides raise all ships.
How is MilkPEP funded?
We're funded through a mandatory assessment on fluid milk processors, which means that processors contribute a small percentage based on the amount of milk that they produce and sell in a year. And that contribution funds MilkPEP's national marketing efforts to increase dairy milk perceptions as a whole.
I see. So we talked about all the different acronyms. Do you do any kind of collaboration with any of the other promotional boards?
In addition to collaborating with milk processors and those on our board and those the paying members of MilkPEP, we also collaborate with DMI a lot, their various SRs. We collaborate with our friends in California, so CMPB, CMAB, We used to share an office with IDFA. We don't do any lobbying, but we are friendlies with, everyone in the dairy industry. So all
Sure.
those different acronym groups, we've got them on speed dial.
You've got some new things rolling out. Tell me about Gonna Need Milk. GONNA, need milk.
Gonna need milk. It's derived from the original longer saying we used to promote, which was you're gonna need milk for that. We just shortened it up a little more colloquial, a little more consumer friendly. But
Okay.
this has been our campaign for quite a few years now. I want to say around 2021. And it really leans into the idea of milk as a performance drink. So the idea is whatever you want to do, whatever your goals or your activities are, milk's nutrients can help you perform at your best, and you're going to need milk for that.
Get your Sealpro silage barrier film today. Protect the seed, fertilizer, labor, and expensive inputs that you've invested in. Choose best-in-class Sealpro now in 3 different versions: traditional 2-roll application, our new co-rolled application, and super simple and wildly successful 1-layer film, Sealpro 1. It's easy to buy, easy to use. Contractor covering? We'll work with them. Learn more at sealprosilage.com. That's SEALPRO silage.com. Family owned and operated for over 25 years. 559-779-5961. That's 559-779-5961. Tell me more about what the components are of Gonna Need Milk. What are the parts and the audience it's geared for and that kind of thing?
Gonna Need Milk is kind of our umbrella campaign. We have a bunch of different programs underneath it. We have the Milk Cup, which is an esports gaming competition, which I think we're going to talk more about a little bit later. Go into too many specifics, but that's geared towards the youth audience. And then we have Every Women's Marathon and Team Milk, which are in the running space, and that's aimed at moms. The goal of these programs is really to drive reconsideration of milk as a performance drink, while also connecting milk to some of our audience's main interests. So gaming for teens and running for moms. And then we also have some evergreen content under the Gonna Need Milk umbrella that's not running Every Women's Marathon or Milk Cup and gaming specific, but just some more evergreen content that's entertaining, leans into like a comedy lens to appeal to the broader youth and mom audiences.
We see these different program or different ads for milk, and we're never quite sure where they come from, but it's great to know that you're working on this kind of thing.
A unique thing with being brand agnostic and being a government checkoff program, consumers can get very confused on who's doing this work, who is telling me to, drink more milk. If it's not the different brands I see in my grocery store, who's it coming from? So we are one of those groups that these ads are coming from.
When you look at a group of people, why do you take the step to look at teens for the Milk Cup and running moms for the marathon?
So at MilkPEP, we are very data driven. We have an incredible research and insights VP, Kiki Rydell, and some partners that we have worked with for decades at this point, just collecting consumer insights. So we look at all of the numbers, we look at where the opportunity areas are to increase perceptions, increase consumption of milk, which groups are falling off, which groups already have a really strong love for milk, and we might not need to spend our resources on that group because they are pretty much, at the higher end of consumption, and which genders or demographics or interests might drop off their milk consumption at a certain age, and when is it really going to make sense to connect with an audience. So we look at all of those numbers, and we see that women and girls specifically have a lot more opportunity for us to connect with them and increase their consumption. Dads, we really don't have much of a problem with. They seem to love milk. Boys like milk more than girls based on our numbers. So when it comes to teens, we have a focus on all teens, but we really narrow it down on those teen girls because it's been shown through years and years of our research that right at that tween, young teen age, there's an inflection point where milk consumption drop off happens earlier than it does for the male counterparts, a much steeper decrease of consumption. We really narrowed it down to those tween girls. And then for moms, our research shows that moms, the vast majority of the time, are the grocery shoppers for the family. So we know that changes a lot. Households look different, increasingly so, but the numbers still show that mom is really that the one writing the grocery list, the one picking up the purchases. And if mom is buying an alt milk, then kids and dad are drinking the alt milk because that's what's in the fridge. If mom is buying the dairy milk, then the kids and the partner or whoever else is in that family, the grandparents staying with them, whoever it is, they are drinking whatever milk it is that mom's buying. So we look at the numbers and that's where they have guided us to.
So for those two programs, then, what is the plan for promoting them and what media are you looking at using?
We activate across various touch points for all of our campaigns. We lean really heavily lately on influencer partners to bring credibility to our work. And research shows that consumers really trust influencers that they follow. So we work a lot with influencers. We also have very complex paid media plans and integrations with endemic gaming and running partners, as well as more broad streaming and social media platforms. So think Netflix and Apple TV, but then also Facebook and TikTok. And then we have an organic presence on social as well to build community with our audiences.
Speaking about the Milk Cup, when was that launched and how successful has it been so far?
For the Milk Cup, we launched last year. It was 2024 in the spring, and it was immediately extremely well received. We posted with our influencer partner, the Peach Cobbler. She is a gamer. She streams herself playing video games. She posted a video of herself that was just recorded at her laptop, set up at home, announcing this new tournament put on by Milk. And it got millions and millions of views, retweets. We got some great engagement from endemic gaming press. And from there on, we just kept building it out. It was pretty scrappy last year. We were kind of building the ship as we sailed it and learning from our expert partners in this space. This year, we're kind of blowing it out a little bit more, investing a bit more because we did see some really great results. We've seen that teens aware of the Milk Cup in 2024 agreed that milk helps fuel gamers by nearly 20 points more than those unaware of the Milk Cup. Based on that, we're just really excited to invest more this year and see what kind of results we can get.
If I'm a gamer, how do I find out about the Milk Cup? How do I get involved in it? What does it mean to me? Is it a tournament? Tell me about that.
It is, yeah. So I guess we should go back to the beginning, the basics. So the Milk Cup is a Fortnite tournament. So Fortnite is one of the top most played games by teens and tweens, which is why we decided to go, for that game. It has quite a few tournaments available to participants, but we see that nearly 50% of gamers are female, but only about 5% are esports players. So we made the Milk Cup a women's Fortnite tournament to really connect with, like I was saying earlier, that teen girl and provide an opportunity to participate at a higher level than they typically might sign up for. And we've seen really great success. If you are a gamer and you've never heard of the Milk Cup, you might be scrolling through social and see an ad pop up for it. You might be, scrolling on TikTok and see your favorite streamer or influencer mention it. You might be watching someone play video games and, get an ad on Twitch for the Milk Cup. So there are various different ways that we are connecting with gamers to share this message. And then after you get that message, it'll direct you towards gunninymilk.com/the milk cup, and you can sign up there.
Okay. So how is the tournament still running? How does that work?
How esports tournaments typically work, if it's large enough, there will be some qualifiers and then a final at the very end. So last year we had a few qualifiers that were broadcast online. All of the competitors competed from their home computers. And then and if you were just a viewer, you could watch it on Twitch. And then for the finals, we flew in the top 100 competitors. They were in teams of trios, so it was 99. And we flew them into LA Comic Con for an in-person final competition, which is called a LAN, local area network. It's where all of the competitors are on the same internet so that nobody can, be accused of having faster or slower internet.
Okay.
It's very normal in the esports space. And that was also live streamed on Twitch, online. Anyone could watch it. And it was just a really great experience for all the competitors.
So is this an ongoing thing now too, that you're having more qualifiers and we'll do this again?
Yeah, so we just announced that we're coming back in 2025. So it's really a year-long experience. There are 3 qualifiers throughout the spring and summer, and then it will culminate in an in-person finals in the fall.
So if I'm a gamer, what do I win?
Yeah, so last year we had a record-breaking $250,000 prize pool. This was across the qualifiers and the finals, and that was the largest North American women's esports tournament prize pool ever. And we're upping that in 2025 to 300,000. So we're breaking our own record. We are continuing to make this experience bigger and better for our gamers. And we've seen some really, really great reception to that.
I know that there's something called the Academy involved. What is the Academy and what does that offer?
Yeah, so the Academy is something we are currently building. It has not launched yet, but will soon. And this is a training program of sorts for girls who are interested in gaming but haven't taken that next step to competing in esports, or they might be too intimidated to, sign up for the Milk Cup proper. We originally thought the Milk Cup was going to be this really inviting, welcoming, attainable place for girls to compete at their first time in esports. But because it was so successful last year, it now has this view around it that it is kind of prestigious and hard to get into and intimidating. So we're taking a step back and creating this more welcoming, more attainable place for anyone to show up and try their hand at learning the ins and the outs of esports before they go into a large live broadcast competition with a huge prize pool and live casters that might be a little bit more intimidating than what they're ready for.
I've always thought that gaming was an entertainment thing and something to, for people to enjoy. But there's a difference between entertaining someone and advertising. How are you working to combine those two?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And that's what a lot of the marketing industry is currently trying to wrap their heads around, is this: how can you tap into entertainment in a way where your ads feel like entertainment? Because in this day and age, people are just bombarded with entertainment, right? Like, why would you watch a Netflix commercial break when you can just pick up your phone and scroll through TikTok until the show starts again? Yeah, so that's why we're creating programs like the Milk Cup and Every Women's Marathon that at their core, they inherently fill a void that our audience is looking for. Last year, Everyone's Marathon was the only women's marathon in the US. With the Milk Cup, we are creating the largest prize pool for women's esports competitions. And we were the first women's Fortnite in-person LAN ever. Mm-hmm. So really just trying to fill a void, create something that the audience is looking for. And with that, because it's connected to such a deep interest, whether if you're running a marathon, you are really into running. And if you're playing an esports tournament, you are really into gaming. So if we can connect with these interests in such a deep way that we are enhancing their experience, it's inherently entertaining, right?
Sure.
It's providing that entertainment value. We're just trying to be entertaining and not push or be too heavy-handed with the milk messaging. We still have it in there. We still talk about how milk's nutrients can help you focus as a gamer, and milk's protein can help keep you satiated so that you feel fuller longer for those late night game sessions and all of that. But we're trying to not be as heavy-handed with it so that we can get that true connection with our consumer and build that trust, build that excitement around what we're doing, and then talk to them about, like, this is all supported by milk. This is all fueled by milk. This is this really great thing you're excited about. Milk is doing that for you, and milk's nutrients and milk's benefits can help you with this interest. So it's an art and a science, really. But it's a fun challenge to have.
Can you give me an example of how you take the humdrum of nutrition? I mean, you're talking about making it exciting. Can you give me an example of what that looks like?
One really fun example we have recently is a new ad spot in gaming, which is talking about how milk's nutrients can help you focus. And we take this generic gaming final boss. I think we're all familiar with the final boss in gaming. Whatever game it is, there's, usually some sort of final boss. We have a generic final boss. He is sitting in a therapist's office, having a therapy session, and he is upset because he keeps losing to the gamer. And the therapist asks him, could it be the milk? Are the gamers just too focused because of milk's nutrients? And he's like, maybe that's my problem. So taking this just ubiquitous idea of, everyone's familiar with a final boss, connecting it to a really funny, almost Sopranos type of, idea.
Right.
And then connecting milk's nutrients can help you focus. So taking an entertainment way in to provide that messaging.
And because everybody's familiar with that format, the promotion is believable.
Exactly. It's believable, and it's created for our target audience of youth, but it is still enjoyed by anyone who sees it. So we have that running in movie theaters where families might see it, and the parents will understand that format and hopefully enjoy the ad spot just as much as their kids will.
So are you going to go on a celebrity route with this at all, aside maybe the person that you've got doing this, influencing this already for you is an influencer and I just don't know them?
We have the Peach Cobbler working with us. She is a smaller scale influencer in the gaming space. So she's not a household name by any means, but she is really, really incredible and has provided so much value to us. But as far as celebrities go, we have had conversations. We've reached out to some celebrities. We've maybe had some conversations with them about doing something for the Milk Cup. As of now, we really want the competitors and the participants to be the shining star and the celebrity in their own right. So we haven't included anyone yet, but there's always the opportunity. Something could happen.
Right. Well, the Peach Cobbler sounds like she's doing a good job for you too.
She is.
Yeah.
She's great.
We have mentioned the marathon and the mom's running program. Is there anything else you can tell me about that particular program?
So Everyone's Marathon launched last year as well. We had a very big 2024. So we saw more than 7,000 women run the marathon last November in Savannah, Georgia. 42% of those runners were first-time marathoners, which we were floored by. We thought that was incredible. And that was our goal, was to have a really, I don't want to say a marathon is attainable, but as far as marathons go, we wanted to make it, if you were on the cusp of maybe trying a marathon. We weren't sure. We wanted this to kind of push you there. We will support you. We will provide you with the training resources and the experts in the field to give advice and nutrition guidelines and everything you might need, the support, the community to get you there in November and cross that finish line. So that was our goal. And I think we really knocked it out of the park with that 42% of first-time marathoners. And then this year we are going on the road to Scottsdale, Arizona, same weekend in November. And we are hoping to surpass that number of 7,000 women.
That's the name of the marathon is
Yeah.
yours. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. And I will tell you, if you've never planned a marathon before, it comes with a lot of learning curves.
I'm sure it does. I ran a half marathon several years ago, put it that way. And yeah, just being a participant takes a lot of planning. I can't imagine what it would be to plan a whole thing.
A lot of legwork, literally, yes. We have a lot of very passionate runners on our team. It's a labor of love.
We've talked about a lot of neat things here that I was never aware of, and I bet you our listening audience has never been aware of either. The Milk Cup, which is a gaming promotion, and doing a great job with that. The marathons that MilkPEP is putting on, all talking about milk as being a performance drink. Jenn, is there anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't cover?
If you're interested in learning more about what we're doing, you can go to gonnaneedmilk.com. But other than that, I'm just happy to have talked to you, Connie. This is wonderful.
We really appreciate you being with us today. And like I said, I've learned a whole bunch. We've been talking with Jenn Grubb, who is the Senior Marketing Manager at MilkPEP. I am Connie Kuber with Sealpro Silage Barrier Film by Connor AgriScience. And you've been listening to the Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News. Please subscribe, like, and share this podcast with all your friends. I'm sure they will enjoy this. We appreciate the perseverance of all dairy farmers. And as I record this, planting season, and in some areas, like in our world, spring forage season is in full swing. So everybody stay safe out there so that you are able to go home tonight and either run or play a game. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.